Hello, class. I am Miss Arrington, and today I will be discussing the evolution of skin color. The areas that I will be covering will be melanin and the definition of, light and dark skin and how it relates to melanin, differences in the areas that humans live, and climate. The lineage from primates to humans is one of the greatest examples of how the evolution of skin color came to be. Skin color is a form of natural selection. It's based on the amount of melanin that one has in the body and the area or climate that they evolved from. The definition of melanin is a dark brown to a black pigment occurring in the hair, skin, and the iris of the eye in people as well as animals. It is responsible for the tanning of the skin based on the exposure to sunlight. Melanin also acts as a protective barrier against ultraviolet radiation, otherwise known as UV rays. There are two different types of melanin that I'm going to talk about today. The first one is phenomelanin, which is a little bit more red to yellow in color, and eumelanin, which is more dark brown to black. Without melanin, skin would be pale, more likely with a little hint of a pink dew due to the blood flow. Both light and darker complexions contain melanin. For skin color, this is evolved from the amount and the intensity of sunlight and population, which is based on the proximity to the equator, how close or how far away one is from the equator. For those with lighter skin, they're mostly produced in the phenomelanin, and they live in areas that are further away from the equator or northern areas that have a less tropical climate and not as much intense sunlight and yes, UV rays. And also in lighter skin, color is affected by the red cells in the blood flow, and that's a little closer to the skin surface. In this environment, darker skin would be more of a disadvantage because it can prevent people from producing enough vitamin D. Those with darker skin mostly produced eumelanin and lived in areas that were closer to the equator or more tropical, where the UV rays are a lot more intense. Again, in those areas, here's where melanin is more of a protective shield, so to speak, or again, a barrier against the UV rays. In the areas that receive higher amounts of UV rays, generally located a lot closer to the equator, again, they tend to have more of darker skinned populations. Where the areas that are farther away, those have lower rates of UVR, and it is reflected in more lighter skinned populations. For the African climate, these are the areas with tropical climates or regions that have less rainforest. There's more of a natural selection for people with darker skin. And this is where the UV rays from the sun is usually the most intense. In European climates, UV radiation is relatively weaker most of the year. So there's a natural selection for those to live there with less melanin, the lighter skin. And nature selects this because ultraviolet radiation in these climates is a lot weaker. Melanin has changed over many centuries as humans migrate to different countries, different areas with varying UV zones. And that has caused a major change in today's pigmentation in the skin. Darker skin has become lighter, and lighter skin has become darker, just based on climate, um, where you live, if you're tanning, things like that have kind of changed the skin spectrum. Thank you for listening today. If you have any questions, I will leave the information of where this was based on. Thank you. Have a good day.